of artwork sells, you stick a little red dot, a little red sticker on the label, and it is always exciting in the studio in the gallery when we are able to put those red dots up and people see that their artwork is selling.
Changed my life. Okay, get a job, and it's gonna be my job forever. I'm not going nowhere.
Vanessa's joy on full display alongside her art.
Yeah, I'm going to the spot.
Knowing each painting she sells helps her earn a living.
It's real good. And I get paid.
But ask anyone in this room,
God understood that, Charles.
or simply watch as artist and studio coordinator Tony Lane makes her way from table to table. See, the job is about much more than money.
It's great to meet you. Did a lot for me.
A place where coworkers turned family show constant support.
You can go back and forth. It's okay. Work.
Perfect.
Sure it's on this.
Right?
All right, awesome. Thank you. All right, good morning, everybody. I think we're gonna go ahead and get started off. Thanks for joining us. My name's Mike Paustian. I'm the chair of Partners Scott County Watersheds. This is our annual forum that we have to update folks on what we've been up to for the last year and kind of what our plans for the future are. So Liv and Steve are joining me up here, and they're going to be doing most of the talking. I'm going to get out of the way here shortly, but just a few introductory comments for me for those of you who are on Zoom, or if you're interested in hearing some of what you hear about today in person. We're going to record the presentation and it'll be on our YouTube page, so look for that. For those of you who are online, enter your questions into the chat box and we'll take a look at that at the end of the presentation to try to answer any of questions that you have there. Just a brief summary of what we're going to go over today. We're going to tell you just a little bit about Partners organization. Then we'll go into our review of our snapshot data, some other success stories of things we've worked on this year, and then some of the plans for the future. So our mission statement is to improve the stewardship of Scott County watersheds through education, technical guidance, and volunteer opportunities. And this is our board. Myself, Steve, our vice chair, Liv is our coordinator, Amy Kay is our secretary, and Carter is our treasurer. And then you can see our other board members listed there. These are citizens from all around Scott County, all different kinds of walks of life, who are all have the same goals in mind as far as helping to learn more about and improve the water quality here in Scott County. And with that, we'll go right into the snapshot. So I'm going to have Steve come up and fill you in.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Get started here. So the snapshot, as you know, we do 3 times a year. We're basically collecting samples around different streams and water bodies in October, or sorry, May and July and October. There's 239 different sites that we've collected historically through the county, but we only are doing 62 each snapshot. We obviously can't do it 39 every time. We've been doing this since about 2002, so it's quite a lot of data. There's been other testing done by the state and federal municipalities. What we basically test for is nitrates, nitrite, ammonia, phosphorus, chloride, pH, dissolved oxygen, temperatures, transparency, kind of these basic water quality parameters. There's been a lot of other testing that's been done when we can do it with laboratories, but obviously that costs money for some of these nitrate, nitrate, and phosphorus, fecal DNA, herbicides, pesticides. But again, that's more spotty. We can't do that every time. I want to say a thank you to the city of Davenport and the wastewater pollution control plant. They're able to allow us for 10 of these sites to do nitrate and nitrate phosphorus laboratory analyses just to do like a quality control. So snapshot data, I talked about this database that we have. There's over 30,000 different records that we've collected over the past 20 something years. So, and that's just giving you a little bit of an idea of kind of things we are. There's been 38 different macroinvertebrate surveys we've done, over 3,400 dissolved oxygen tests, 3,200, I think that's nitrate, nitrite, and 3,900 phosphorus tests. qPCR is fecal DNA. Just an idea of these different tests that are in this database, you know, kind of averages around 3,300 of different records we have for a total of 30,945 different records in our database. One of the largest in Iowa, if not the largest for a county. In 2023, we had obviously the 3 snapshots. You know, you can see how many volunteers we had. We had one based in Davenport, Eldridge, and Princeton. That's our home base, and we send people out doing it. We had 114 total volunteers. EICC helped provide some of these tablets that you've seen, you know. Scott County GS Department helps us with the data collection. I talked about the lab analyses, and some of our sponsors you can see down there. Environmental planning service strategies you can't hardly see. I don't know if there's another one underneath there. And then some pictures of folks out there having fun. So we'll kind of get into some of the snapshot. what I do is I'll take the parameters of concern. I don't look at all the data for everything. I look at some of these more concerning parameters like the nutrients or dissolved oxygen. And I'll look at over time how it's behaving. If I have enough data for a site, I'll see what's the trend. Is the trend going up? Is it going down? What's the average? You know, what is it doing over time? So for 2023, this year, I break it down in a rural and urban and then countywide, right? So on average, all our sites, for 62 sites, in the rural area, 4 parts per million in nitrate. In the urban area, it was 2. Well, countywide, it was 3. The range was 0 to 20 parts per million. In the bar graph, you see, and I can't, is there a way to get rid of this bottom? I can't see the, sorry.
Steve, what's the difference between nitrate and nitrite?
Nitrate is the longer lasting version of nitrogen, and nitrite is the short-lived. Nitrate's the one that's the plants utilize more. It's the one that everybody's concerned. That's the form of nitrogen everybody's concerned about. So there I can see, yeah, the countywide, rural, and urban. So I broke down our sites into count rural and urban, and you can see the dark blue is of those sites, which ones are trending up over time. Now, it doesn't mean it's like a straight up. It's just the average concentration is sloping up over time. Over half the sites are trending up over time. Some are stable around a quarter, you know, and then there's some that are kind of trending down. These are sites that have at least over 10 years of data, you know. That just gives me an idea of, yep, over time, nitrate concentrations are increasing in about half our sites that we analyze. Just gives you kind of this 1,000-foot picture of what's going on. And I kind of down in this lower left-hand corner, I compare years to each other, like 2023, 22, 21. The average for the entire database was 3. And then, well, the average for that year was 3. And then if you average the entire 20 years, it's 3. The average is 3, big surprise. So I did the same thing for phosphorus. And the concentrations are different, you'll see below. And I guess I kind of didn't mention back before, there isn't really a water quality standard for nitrate. You know, there is for drinking water, and that's different. Drinking water is different than what we're concerned about. We're not worried about drinking water out of Duck Creek, and that would be 10 parts per million. We're more worried about, you know, eutrophication, you know, causing excess plant growth, those kind of things. That is something different. That's a regulation that maybe happens something in the future. That's a different conversation. Same thing with phosphorus. There isn't really a water quality standard compared to, except for kind of the rule of thumb is anything above 0.1 parts per million is considered kind of excessive. Wisconsin kind of has adopted that. I think that actually is a standard that they are in compliance with. So anyway, you can see these side averages. In the rural, it's around 0.43, urban 0.43, county 0.42. It's hard to get some of these down to the hundreds place, but you can see the range 0.03 to 3.9. There's some sites that have pretty high phosphorus for 2023. And then if you look down the database averages, it kind of ranges around 0.5, you know, and then the 20-year average is 0.4. The thing I want you to notice is the difference in the bar graphs between nitrates and phosphorus. You notice that the middle blue, right, the stable is super high for countywide and rural and urban. That means most sites are stable in their concentration. They're not going up and they're not going down. They're just hanging out there at whatever concentration they're at. So whatever they're doing, nothing's changing. You know, doesn't mean it's good. There might be some sites where the concentration mean is good. It might be pretty high, but it's not changing per se. It's not increasing or decreasing. Let's see. Transparency. Transparency basically is how dirty does this water look? You know, we look at it and say it's turbid, you know, or it's clear. This quantifies it. That's the turbidity tube, if you guys have ever seen those, the Secchi disc. This is kind of the opposite. You want the number to be higher. The higher it is, the better it is, you know. So when I see the number the trend is going down, that's not really good. We have a lot of sites that are like in an urban that is trending down, you know, in the rural, they're kind of about even, you know, they're all spread out, but there's more sites in the urban area that are starting to trend down. The water is getting a little bit more murky, you know. Rule of thumb that I've kind of found on site, there isn't a water quality standard for this, but around anything below 30 centimeters is pretty, starts to impact aquatic wildlife, right? So we really, on average, we're okay, but there are some sites that, some streams where the average, like there's some sites in Upper Duck Creek that on average, they're below 30 centimeters. They're just constantly murky, you know. Why that is, it's just gonna take more to understand why, but you can kind of see some of the averages there. We're in that 2022 was particularly, I guess, dirty year, right? You know, 31 centimeters was the database average, you know, and you can see on the 2023 site averages, the range was 5 to 60 centimeters. 60 centimeters means that water was crystal clear. You could see all the way through it. 5 means, boy, that was just practically mud, you know? So like I said, you can look at individual times, but really it's the mean over time that tells you what's going on with a creek or a stream. Chloride, this is essentially the other half of salt, right? There can be many different sources of chloride. We kind of associate with road salt, but that's not necessarily what it could be. It could be different chemicals. Whoops, going too fast. Different chemicals. It can be sign of human waste, animal waste, you know. Nahant, for some reason, there's high chlorides in some of the backwaters in Nahant. I can't figure out why. Brian Ritter and I think it might be some rogue weaver, you know, doing whatever, you know, but it doesn't make any sense. So, but it does make sense that if you look at some of those site averages, urban streams have higher chloride than rural. Makes sense. We apply road salt to keep people safe, right? It's going to be higher on average. There are water quality standards for chloride. There's 2 of them. They're acute and chronic. The acute, I believe, is around 380 parts per million. The chronic is 600, or is vice versa. I can't remember. Either way, on average, most of our sites do not reach the water quality standard, but there are times individually where we exceed that water quality standard, especially in the winter, but that may last for a month. There's some times where in the summer, I've seen sites that can get to 300 or 400 parts per million. It just depends on the water quality, the water conditions at that time. There's some sites like Candlelight Creek, Greenway Creek, you know, some other ones in Davenport. They're just consistently high, even in the summer. It's just the nature of the beast when you have urban streams. As you can see with the graphs, there's gonna be a lot of sites that are either going up or going down. Not too many are stable. And I think that's just the nature of, it's such a seasonal application of this type of parameter. Let's see. And the next one, dissolved oxygen. This one's pretty boring. It's all 8, you know. This one also is, it's a water quality standard that is associated with aquatic wildlife and nothing to do with human health and the environment. You want to keep dissolved oxygen at 5 parts per million and above. And some people say you want to cap it at 12 because you don't want super saturation for fish, but anything above 5 is considered okay. On average, all our sites are around 8 parts per million. There are some that are creeping toward 5 and 6. Hanlon Creek is one that I can think of. Vanderveer Lagoon is one that is not in good shape, but if you've ever been there, it's not surprising. There's a lot going on. You know, and usually the lagoons and the ponds are the ones that have low dissolved oxygen, but Hanlon is something that is another concern, you know, but on average, we're okay. It's not really a big concern, but there's certain streams that I watch, and Amy Kay, who's the secretary, will look at sites, and if we feel like there's going to be a problem, we might look at some best management practices to introduce to a stream. That it could be easy as just adding rock to cause a riffle to basically just agitate the water. So dissolved oxygen could be a really big concern, but we're okay with that one right now. And then macroinvertebrates, this is something we started doing, a little bit. Oops, I did something that can you fix me? Sorry. Something we started again a few years ago. I think Kelsey, it was like 4 years ago, maybe. Yeah. Where you can look at the creepy crawlies that are in the stream and do an index of a biotic integrity. And you count the species you see, and they tell you in a different way how suitable that habitat is, and it will give you, is it poor water quality, fair water quality, good water quality, based on the presence or absence of these different species. And I'll have pictures of those in the next one. So we kind of do around 10 sites a year. We do it in the summer. It's very limited because not every site is good to go to. You know, some of them are just not safe to spend an hour on the side of the road with. And we usually send up someone that's got a biological background. As you can see, a lot of our sites, we've had no sites that have been considered poor water quality by this parameter. Fair, most sites are fair, some were good. So that's good. And let's see, this kind of gives you an idea. Hopefully everybody's done eating, you know. Some of these low quality species like these snails, medium quality species like the damselflies. If you see some of these mayflies and caddisflies, that's an indication of high quality species. Let's see. So this I feel like I do the same thing every year with these kind of summaries, you know, that nitrate, the nitrate and phosphorus, they're concerned not just in rural, everywhere, especially phosphorus. It's ubiquitous. It's a problem everywhere, you know. You can't just say, it's just coming off the farmland, right? It's coming from, it's everywhere. There's streams that do not have any agricultural watershed, and they still have high phosphorus. So why, you know, is a million different reasons. Transparency, there's some streams that have concerns. Again, it takes a lot to dive into what's going on. pH didn't talk about. pH is it's another one of those that you have to watch carefully, but I haven't seen any really big issues with that. It's always at the right range between 6 and 9. Dissolved oxygen we talk about, there's a few streams that are okay, they're not okay. Chloride, so far we are not exceeding the water quality standard. One thing Amy Kane are talking about is some of these streams that are creeping higher, creating a constructed wetland using, why can't I think of it, Kelsey? Cattails, where the cattails will soak up about 5 grams of chloride per plant per 30 days, and you can harvest that and basically suck up that chloride and harvest it every year, and then it'll just take it to landfill or wherever, you know, kind of a bioremediation way to get rid of some of this chloride. This year, it didn't rain a lot, if you didn't notice. That drought played a role in this year's data. I've noticed different concentrations, higher concentrations in some streams that I didn't before, because what you're seeing is more of that groundwater impact than runoff impact. We didn't do a fecal DNA testing this summer per se as part of Snapshot. We'll get to that later. But in the past, we found human and dog in rural and urban streams. In the past, we've seen a little bit of cattle and swine, but we didn't have enough data. We're going to talk about all this later. So overall, obviously, there's too many undesirable trends with the nutrients and transparency, and a stream bank erosion, I feel like, is probably one of the leading factors. We're probably average for our landform. Fecal nutrients and fecal bacteria are something we look at. A lot of people don't realize this. Majority of our streams originate in our borders. So we can't say it's Muscatine or it's Cedar County or Clinton that's causing our problems. And some of these small streams I added, you know, they don't get the attention like Duck Creek or the Mississippi River, but they are habitat. They are important too. They're important to the people who live on them. They're important to people that they have their land on. So we need to pay attention to those as well. I think it's your turn.
All right, hello everyone. I have not been on one of these and in my position yet. So just want to introduce myself. I'm Liv, I'm the new coordinator. Really excited to be here, get to meet some people, also get to see new and old faces. So again, thank you so much for being here. Here are some of our successes this year. Education, we've conducted 17 K through college programs, 7 community events and expo booths, and have reached 1,667 community members, roughly. You know, I sometimes go out and talk about it, so I don't really count those people. We do have some volunteering opportunities. We had 4 community cleanups, a total of 42 bags of trash, and 219 volunteers from cleanups and Snapshot events, what Steve just went over. And then just some of our technical guidance. We have 4 sites we visited, 83 sites tested, and then a total of over 1,000 hours of impact hours. So partners did a lot of really, really great work this year. Really proud of all of our educational opportunities we had.
Liv, are those site visits, you get a call from somebody that says, come on in?
Most of them, yes.
And how do they find out about us?
You can go on our website. I will be doing a lot more on our social media and just getting things out there. Beginning of the year, I'm going to do like, what is partners able to offer? And that is going to be like a huge part, is the technical sites. But yeah, again, website, long story short. All right, so here is a little bit about our college, K through college programs. We worked with students from St. Ambrose, Bettendorf, Davenport, North Scott, Rock Island, and Milan and Pleasant Valley school districts. We provided students with programs on water quality testing, watershed runoff, water quality issues, litter pollution, native vegetation, soil conservation, and riparian habitat. So a lot of really great information getting to our students, and then our students get to be involved with us. So here's just some pictures. The one with all of our students is actually the North Scott FFA project I was able to complete, just water quality, teaching them how to do it, why it's important. And then on our upper right hand, that is some of our second graders from Forest Grove Elementary's anti-litter in our watershed posters. There's a lot of really cute pictures, so I've been posting a lot on our Facebook. So you want to see those, really cool place to do that. All right, and then education, we have our floating classroom, something I haven't been involved in yet, but super excited to get to this year. So this was this year's photo of all of the students, coordinators, and all those who were involved. And then hopefully, fingers crossed, this video is gonna work. Oh.
I'll just real quick. It's something that Gustafson and I started a few years ago, where we went and wanted to take out kids who'd never been out on the boat, right? We worked with Living Lands and Waters, and then the community academy. Springport Academy, we found kids to go out and fish, about water quality, about habitat, studying, having fun. Specifically find that we live next to the largest river in the world, but in North America, you never got out. So we do this one couple days a year, and obviously we have a lot. I think it's fun. Thank you.
So yes, that was that really cute little video. Oh, no, don't play again. Okay, like everyone watched again. All right, some of the other educational things, Nahan and partners partnered up and did a macro ID workshop. So here's just some photos from that. And again, a macro ID workshop helps educate the community on benthic macro invertebrates, basically your water bugs, which are great biological indicators of water quality. Steve kind of already touched on that, but it's how we do it. And then a lot of this kind of goes into our summer snapshot as well. So we have some volunteering, our cleanups. We did Princeton Whiskey Run cleanup, Fairmont Street, Silver Creek, and then Duck Creek. We do have some plans to get some more cleanups coming in the 2024, and we'll talk about that too, but make sure you kind of keep a lookout for that. But here's some photos of people and all the fun stuff that they got to pick up. All right, so we also have volunteering from the United Way Day of Caring from spring 2023, and there was a total of 23 adults and then 60 9 hours. And they were basically just prepping all of the mural sites, and then you'll get to see some of those finished ones in a minute. But as you can tell, we would not be able to do what we do without our volunteers. So it's incredibly important and something we're very honored to have them be able to do things like this that maybe us, like, we wouldn't be able to do on our own.
What's the young girls?
I will show you. It's a great segue. Oh, maybe not. Oh wait, no, it's coming in a minute. Sorry, I should have transitioned that a little better.
Building the
Yeah, don't you worry. So again, a little bit more of our technical guidance, just a closer look. We provided 4 free assessments to landowners. We conduct monthly tests and lab analysis for Robin Creek, which we have biofilters. And again, we'll talk about that in a minute. And then we started conducting monthly tests and lab analysis for Silver Creek as well. So there's some more information on that. Yes.
So 3 or 4 years ago, I kind of found this project online where I don't know if anybody's familiar with the floating treatment wetlands, but it's basically a product where they take plastic and they make a wetland out of it that floats, and it's like this dense matrix, kind of like steel wool, right? And so this person made like a weir dam out of it, and it hosts bacteria. And so Amy Kay and I basically modified it and put some of these on Robin Creek to help digest and get rid of fecal bacteria. We're doing a pilot study. We started in August of 2020. Kelsey had started with it, and Liv has been continuing with it, doing E. coli and total coliform water quality parameters. Does this work? Is it helping? So as far as the E. coli, yes, not so much with the phosphorus, but 1 out of 2 ain't bad. So this is kind of the data summary where we got, on average, I'm seeing about a 33% decrease in E. coli concentrations from my upstream of my filters to downstream. So I'm seeing a decrease. That is something. Something is working. How? I'm not sure. I'd like to get a microbiologist involved. I had some from St. Ambrose and they moved away, unfortunately. So that's still a work in progress, but at least I'm over time consistently seeing a measurable decrease in E. coli concentrations. We're going to start. Amy Kay wants to start doing these in Silver Creek. That's why Liv is starting to do some preliminary Silver Creek analyses to see what the E. coli concentrations are there, so we can get a baseline. Let's see. And then you want to do the.
So this is another project I kind of stepped into while it was finishing up. This is Crow Creek Wildlife Management Area Accessible Boat Ramp Project, which was completed in September 2023. So it's actually done now. You're able to go out and look at it. The project was in collaboration with the Iowa DNR River Actions Conservation Consortium. Have not been able to pronounce that since I've been looking at it, which contributed $7,500, and then the rest came from SCRA, which was $25,000 plus. And again, this is one of the series of the projects. We're going to continue to work here and doing cleanups, invasive species removal, and all that fun stuff. But you can kind of see the progression of this project from like the bare bones of just dirt now to a beautiful boat ramp with some signage, and hopefully we'll get more signage up there, and a really great little gem. I was actually able to go out and see it the first time. I've never been out there. So it was really cool, and I'm excited to kayak and get it into it. So now I'll have an accessible boat ramp to do that. All right, murals. All the anticipation is over. So from mid-June through early September, QC Arts artists worked on murals at Marquette Park, Jungie Park Northwest, and Garfield. And we plan to implement one other design in Eastern Avenue Park once we get our funding secured for that. So I do have pictures of some of these murals. They're really, really cool. Please go check them out. If you ever find yourself on the bike path, you might be able to find some of these pretty easily. So if you need any help locating them, email me. I'll send you directions. It'd be really cool to get some people to take pictures with them, post them, all that fun stuff. But this is Jungie Parks. And we have pictures of like people actually doing some of the work and then some of them completed as well. And all of this is on our website too, if you guys want to go check out some more pictures of it as well. And then we have Marquette, Northwest, and Garfield. So yeah, here are all of the really, really beautiful and colorful murals. A really cool project. So yeah. So I'll give you guys a minute to like bask in the glory. Okay, cool. All right.
How did you find the artists for those?
They were through QC Arts, but
QC Arts has a youth focused project of the Metro Arts
mhm,
Youth Apprenticeship.
yes, yeah.
Some combination of those words, where they employ artists ages 15 through 21 from the Quad Cities to do these projects under like a lead experienced like professional artists, and they're essentially apprentices through this program and get to do cool community projects and get paid.
Even better.
This is one of the projects happened this summer is MRCTI, which is the Mayor Mississippi River Cities and Towns Initiative, a mayor's group for up and down the Mississippi River. You know, they had in the Center of Environmental Cooperation, which is basically Canada, Mexico, the United States, headed a project a couple of years ago. And one of the last parts of that project was hosting a bunch of workshops in the Quad Cities. We got to be part of that, 6 workshops in late July. I incorporated some of my findings, which you see here, as far as trash in Duck Creek, as far as how much over the course of a year I found as far as plastic and metal pieces and such using an app that they created. We got to be part of that, which was pretty cool, and kind of give people's perspective and understanding of what trash is like in and around the Quad Cities. Kind of like a cool little way to intersect what we know as part of this bigger project. So I think that was all I have for that special project. Cool.
All right.
All right, so we're getting close to the end here, so just stay with us a little bit longer, but we're going to talk a little bit about some kind of in progress and for the future kinds of things here. One of the activities that we do besides what you've heard about so far is we work to write grants or partner with other organizations to write grants to get funding for projects that we would otherwise not be able to do. And so one of those grants was we partnered with Prairie Rivers of Iowa for this movement infrastructure for clean water in Iowa. And so there's a lot of different organizations involved with this particular project. What our slice of the project is to do some microbial source tracking. So you heard Steve mention that earlier when he was talking about our snapshot results. That's where you can test to see what types of bacteria are in there and what they may have come from, what species. To give you an idea of if we know there's fecal bacteria in there, but that doesn't really help us solve the problem if we don't know where they came from. And so this is one way you can start to kind of narrow that down a little bit. The problem is it's expensive to run these tests. And so we aren't generally able to do as many of these as we'd like to. But as part of this grant, we were able to get $25,000 to do some sampling, with the goal then is for us to kind of write up a report on our experiences to help other municipalities who might be interested in doing this figure out like what's the best way to do this, right? Because it is expensive. It's not something you want to kind of just figure out as you go sort of thing. And so we're hoping we can provide them with some more information about when's the best time to sample? What's the best way to handle your samples? What are the best markers to look for and things like that? So that's a project that's kind of in progress right now. And then we're sending the samples off to the USGS laboratory, who's going to run the actual tests and stuff. And then once we get those results back, we'll be getting the word out. So be on the lookout for that information. Okay. And then another one more recently that we just found out about in the last couple of weeks here is we partnered with Ducks Unlimited to write a grant to the USDA, which is basically to implement conservation practices on agricultural ground. And so this grant, it's a 5-year grant with $8 million total. So it's kind of a big deal. That's a lot of money. About 6 million of that is going to go towards cost share to producers who implement conservation practices. We've had some meetings with agricultural producers in Scott County, and we've had discussions with them about what they see as the barriers to implementing conservation practices. And that was one of the top barriers they identified is just the cost. You know, they're trying to manage, you know, the economics of everything, and sometimes prices aren't very good, and so it's hard to take on additional costs when you don't know if you can pay for everything else already. So that's one big hurdle that we've identified, and that's one of the reasons we partnered with Ducks Unlimited on this. So I think we're all pretty excited about this. It's going to be a lot of work, but at the same time, I think it has the potential to really help us get a lot of conservation practices implemented in Scott County. And so there's going to be a lot more coming on this. We're still kind of just in the early stages of kind of sorting out and figuring out, okay, we got this. Now we got to figure out how we're going to get it all done. But super exciting. I think it's going to give us the ability to hopefully do some kind of batch and build practices. If you've heard that, some other counties in Iowa that are in targeted watersheds have gotten some funding from like the Iowa Department of Agriculture to kind of just do a whole bunch of practices in a very concentrated area. We in Scott County are not in one of those targeted watersheds, but thanks to this grant, now we basically are making ourselves our own priority. So super exciting, and look for more to come on that. So just a little snapshot of what's coming in 2024 then. We're going to continue to do the forums like you have today in November. We always do this summary for you, but there's 3 other snapshots forums throughout the year where we invite other speakers to come talk about various conservation related topics. So be on the lookout for those. The dates are there. Snapshots, if you've never had the chance to participate in a snapshot, I highly recommend it. As you can see from the data that we've shared with you today, we've got a great set of data, and we can keep adding to it. And that is really what helps us get some of these grants, is that we can say, you know, look, we've already got all this data. We know what water quality looks like in Scott County. So if we do try to implement some new practices, we can measure exactly what impact that has. So that goes a long ways to getting funding for additional projects. Education outreach, we're going to keep getting in front of students and other community groups. If you're part of other community groups that have an interest in water quality, please contact us. Any one of us are more than happy to come talk to your group about what we do and what they can do. If you're part of groups that are looking for volunteer opportunities, talk to us. We're always looking for volunteers for lots of different projects. Going to continue to do cleanups, look for some workshops coming up. All the details are still being worked out, but we're going to have more meetings with ag producers, pond workshops, do some more macroinvertebrate ID workshops. You know, if people are interested and want to keep coming, then we'll keep having the workshops. And again, as was mentioned before, site visits. If you are visiting with folks you know, or somebody is complaining about a water quality issue or something like that, tell them to get into contact with us. We're more than happy to talk to them about what they're seeing and see if we can help them figure out what might be going on. And finally, a huge thank you to our supporters. We couldn't do what we do without our donors and without our volunteers. And we've got listed up here all those who have contributed to the cause. If you want to get more involved, talk to us and see what's going on. I think it's really fun to be around people who are excited about water quality and trying to have an impact on their community. So if you know of people who are looking for ways to get involved and want to help out, then by all means, please get a hold of us, because there's more people out there than you might think who are passionate about water quality in our community. So that's all we've got for our presentation today, but we'd be happy to take any questions you have about anything we've talked about or anything we didn't talk about.
It's just like another.
All right. Thank you for coming. Yes.
Where is Godwin's Creek?
It's by the Marquette Dog Park.
No, wait.
The Marquette Dog Park. It's like, you'll see there's like an entrance where you can like walk in and around it, but that's where we go in, but I think it probably scales bigger than that, but that is a good location indicator.
Or like Gonzo's in Mid-City High School.
Was there another year when you did one of those bio ingester things on Duck Creek?
So that was like, if you're thinking about the most recent, it was a marine debris collector, was the only thing recently implemented into Duck Creek. I don't think, from my knowledge, there hasn't been a biofilter there. It was a debris tracker, which basically is like a trash tracker to make, seeing what debris is headed to the Mississippi River, which all in all goes to the ocean.
What did you find?
No, I don't know if that was our, there's mine.
Old
Steve
man.
might, Steve might know.
Old man coming. Sorry, I have a couple crack ribs.
The guy holding the sign.
Yeah. So part of that graph I showed you of the trash, at that same time, a company that owned that trash collector you were talking about was doing a study, and I was kind of involved in that too. And it kind of was the same kind of thing. About 70% of what they found was some form of plastic, like a styrofoam or a cups or who knows what, and then miscellaneous other things. The only thing with that particular device was it only captured things that floated, right? So anything that was heavier, obviously, just kind of moved itself on the way down. With my study, I picked up the stuff that was on the bed as well. So, but obviously plastic floats, so it was heavier bias towards a plastic. So, but yeah, all this data is available publicly. If you go on the Scott County Waste Commission website or the Extreme Cleanup website, you can find it. If not, email Liv and I can find you all that. Yep.
Any other questions? Comments, thoughts?
Partners open house.
So that is an idea that we are still working on. Where basically we would get together all of our members, donors, partners in like one big setting, allowing all of us to make conversation, mingle, get to know everybody. Stepping into this role, there's definitely lots of people I don't know yet. I would love to get more connected to. So also to get more connected to our members, our donors. They get to see more of us, people, faces. Sometimes makes that feel like what they're doing is good, which it is. So yeah, that's kind of the idea we're playing with the Partners Open House. Great question.
Anything else? All right, well, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Take some more sandwiches.
Keep eating.
Keep eating.
Keep eating.
Sounds good.
Thank you for getting us.
Oh, yeah,
online.
no worries.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Mike, oh my God, I used to work at the Times.
You bet.
Yeah, well, so